Okay, so this is section 3.2. We're verifying properties of triangles. One of the first things we want to look at, there is the centroid of a triangle. So we talked about in the last lesson what a centroid was. Okay, who can tell me what a centroid is? Nice and loud. David.
Where all three medians meet.
Good, so it's all three medians meet. And can a centroid lie outside the triangle?
No.
Sometimes?
Nope.
No. Okay, very good. Yes. So a centroid is always inside the triangle, and it's where the three medians of a triangle meet. And what's a median again, Jonathan?
A line from a vertex to midpoint of opposite side.
Excellent. Good. That's a median. Great. So now it's asking us to verify that this point, C40, is the centroid. So we know by definition the centroid is where the three medians intersect. Okay? So how do we figure out if this point is the intersection point between the three medians? Okay, Michael.
You have to find the equations of the three medians.
Good. We need to find the equation of this line, and of this line, and then check the point with each one of those equations. So not an easy thing to do. It's quite a complex process. How do we find the equation of this line, Dom? What do you think? So I'm looking for the equation. First of all, Dom, to make it easier, how do we find the equation of any line? What do we need? Especially in grade 10 now. We typically find an equation of a line, how? All right, let's go back one. What is the formula for the equation of a line?
I don't know.
Really? The formula for an equation, y equals?
Oh,
Okay.
that's slope.
Okay, that's the formula for an equation of a line. So typically when I were to ask you this question in grade 9, I'd say, what do you need to know the formula or the equation of a line? What two pieces of information? Andrew, you tell me.
You need the slope and the y-intercept.
Good, slope and y-intercept. And in grade 10, I would say, what do you need to know the equation of a line? You should have a better response than that. Connor, what do you think? So I need to figure this equation out. What two pieces of information I need? Good, a point on the line, and one more thing. Good, the slope, excellent. So the only difference between, say, grade 9 and grade 10 is that you can find out the equation of a line not necessarily with the y-intercept, but just using a point, any point. Okay, so it's kind of a better way to find out because it gives you more flexibility. Because remember, y-intercept is also a point on the line, right? Just as an x-coordinate of 0, but it's still just a point on the line. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. How do we find a point on this line? So we want to find the median of Q. And we're going to label these midpoints. So S, T, and R. All right, so we want to find the equation of QS, first of all. Yeah, David?
You have to find S, so you midpoint of O and P.
Okay, why do I need S?
Because you need to find a slope.
Good, so we're finding a slope. But to find the first piece of information, to find a point, do I need, just to have a point, do I have a point on QS?
Yes.
Yeah, I already have this point, right? Good, so I already have a point. I just need now the slope of this line. So in order to find the slope, you're right, I do need to find S. Okay, but I just wanted to point that fact out, that you're not finding S to find a point on the line, you're finding it to get the slope. Okay, once we find the coordinate of S, we can find the slope with y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to look for the point S. We need to find the midpoint between O and P. Right, so midpoint
Okay, couldn't you just use the Centroid because you already have 4, 0?
We don't know if the process already.
That's what we need to verify. So we can't assume that it's on there. All right, you're right, you could find the slope doing that, but that's not answering the question, that's assuming the answer, and then working backwards. Okay, but good thought. All right, so if we plug in these values of O and P, we're gonna have 8 over 2, negative 4 over 2. So there's our midpoint S. Okay, once I have the midpoint S, now I can find the slope of QS. So little m QS. Okay, we actually get an undefined slope value. Does anybody know what that means in terms of what happens on the graph? Alan?
It's a vertical line.
Yeah, so this is actually a vertical line, which lines up with kind of what we know. What does that tell us now then about the equation? This is a tricky one. Michael?
X equals 4.
X equals 4, very good. So because our slope is undefined, we just have a x value. So in this case, q, the value is 4 of x. So our equation for this particular line is just x equals 4. All right? This is kind of a tricky one. So then we need to see if this equation x equals 4, or sorry, if this point 4, 0 satisfies this equation. So you would plug in the value just like you would for x and y. There's no y to plug in, so you would just plug in 4. So you get 4 equals 4. It definitely satisfies the equation. Therefore, this point 4, 0 does lie on this vertical line of QS. Okay? Any questions there? We didn't show that one yesterday, so that's good that we did show that one now. Let's do one more. We're going to do the line PR. Okay, so now we're looking for the equation of this line. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is find the coordinate of R, which is the midpoint of OQ. So that's going to be equal to that's going to be equal to 2, 2. So that is this point. Once we have that point, we now want to find the slope of PR. So this point to here. So we're looking for little m PR. And that's going to be equal to our slope formula. So our slope is -1. We're going to plug that into the formula y equals mx plus b. We're also going to plug in a point on the slope, 2, 2. So we have 2 is equal to -1, 2 plus b. Solve for b. So therefore our equation is -x plus 4. So there is our equation for this median, PR. Now we want to see if this point lies on that equation, or that line, so we're going to plug in the point 4, 0. So 0 for y, negative 4 plus 4. Because the equation is satisfied, we know that this point does lie on the line. Any questions? Finally, the last step you would do is check the equation for the line OT. Find the midpoint of QP to find out what T is, then find the slope, then find the equation of this line, and then check it with the point 4, 0. Okay? All right, the last example I want to cover in this section is example 2. This is on page 122. Okay, the question reads, in triangle ABC, D is the midpoint of side AC, so we have a midpoint here, E. And E is the midpoint of side BC, which is here. Verify that line segment DE is parallel to AB. So we want to check that this line is parallel to this line. So how do we check if two lines are parallel? Josh?
To check if they're parallel, you have to make sure the slopes are the same.
Excellent. So we just want to look at the slope of this line DE and the slope of this line AB. Okay? The only problem is we don't have the coordinates for DE yet. Okay, so how will we find those coordinates? Nicholas?
So they're at the midpoint of A and C and B and C.
Good. So how would we find them?
So you would have to look for the midpoint, so
Good. So D is just you're gonna have to use that midpoint formula, right? See how these formulas just don't go away? So 1 plus 7. So this is the midpoint for 4. And then likewise we would do the same thing for E. We find the midpoint is 6, 3. Okay, once we have those 2 points, what do we do next? Luigi.
We calculate the slope using the 2 points.
Good, so you're going to calculate the slope of DE
Yeah,
and the slope of AB.
yeah.
So M of DE and then M of AB. And we see that these two slopes are the same, therefore the lines are parallel. Okay, the second one says verify that the line segment DE is half the length of the side AB. So we're going to check the length of this line segment and the length of this line segment using the length formula and verify that one is half that of the other. And that's the last part of it. So basically for any triangle, we know that the midpoints when connected, they're parallel to the opposing bottom side. Okay, any questions there? Okay, that's the end of 3.2.